Chris, your purse is needed.
What did I do?
Unplug the, now is the time. Yes, no, we had talked about that already.
Point of
Yeah.
order. You have to sign up for that for public comment if you're only asking a question.
No. That's just for the, okay.
I should clarify that.
I will.
We're gonna clarify. Signing up for public comment does not apply to asking questions of the candidates. So if you just are here to ask questions of the candidates, you don't have to sign up. But if you want when we have our public comments, if you want to speak, make sure you sign up on the paper, please. Yeah. Okay, Wendy, you're with us? You're with us? Okay, so we are 7:01, so I think we will start. So I want chairs in front facing you guys. So first,
Like, let's go feel it right now. You want to come up there now?
Yeah.
Rich and come on up. Okay. So these are our 5 candidates running for school committee. We have Michelle Vacchiano, Billy Joe Karwowski, Rich Bianguli, Maggie Williams, and Chris Carrier. Michelle, we're going to start with you.
Yeah, right. So I am running for the 1-year school board term. I have 2 children who attend school here. I've decided to run as I strongly believe it's important for parents to sit on the board as they're kind of seeing firsthand what their kids are coming home, telling them what's working and what's not working. Last 2 years have obviously been tough on everybody, including schools especially. My number 1 focus is keeping kids in school as much as possible. So I think it's so important for them to be physically in school for their learning and development. I am a nurse, so I have some medical background, which I think would be very helpful in situations like this, when things like COVID hit, to be a resource. I also am very open-minded, which I feel is very important on the school board. When you have parents' concerns, teachers' concerns, I think it's very important to have a good rapport with both teachers, staff, as well as parents. Address issues in a timely fashion. Every concern is valid, so I think everything needs to be dealt with. And I think, like I said, just having good rapport with the staff especially will make a good environment for the students, which then in turn will have a positive impact on their learning. That's really my goals. Any questions?
Yes, you can.
For all of you, I'd like you to address what your background is in finance or understanding. There's a lot of budgetary issues that I had never realized until I sat in on a couple of meetings, and it flabbergasted me of how much financial between state allocations and all these other things. So what kind of experience do you have in accounting or finance or managing budgets?
So Michelle, do you want to answer that? And then I'm going to have the rest of you speak, and then we'll take more questions. They may answer your questions once they've spoken. Yeah.
So personally, I can't say I have a ton with that. Like I said, I've done leadership at the hospital where we've had to have budgets that we're looking at for supplies. where we can cut, what's most important. But other than that, honestly, I don't have much to. Yeah, I guess.
Billy Joe,
Is that the finance question or my speech?
your speech.
Good evening, and thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to be here tonight. My name is Billy Joe Karwowski. I am a wife and mother of 4 children. I have one in Lake Region High School, a son here in pre-K, and 2 preschoolers that will be attending this lovely school in the upcoming years. I have dedicated 26 years of my life in the medical field. Directly out of high school, I started out as a registered radiologic technologist, only to further my education and pursue my goal as a registered medical diagnostic sonographer and a registered vascular technologist. It is my passion to care for people. I decided to run for a seat on the board to fight for the students, teachers, parents, community. I believe every child deserves the best education achievable. Because the Sebago community provides the majority of the funding to keep the school doors open, we need to bring all the groups together and make that happen. I would like to make note of a Portland Press Herald on the 19th of May. The speaker for Governor Mills said decisions about what is taught in the classroom should be made by parents, community members, teachers, and local elected school boards. My history of being promoted to lead sonographer at every facility that I've been employed speaks volumes. I am able to build a strong team of people and motivate them in a way that benefits everyone. My goal is to assess our school's curriculum involving feedback from teachers, parents, taxpayers, students, our whole community. Sebago Elementary School can be one of the best public schools in Maine. Uniting as a team, we can strive to make that happen. My major concerns are the programs, materials, and curriculum that is incorporated into our children's everyday life, social emotional learning, in the forms of zones of regulation and second step. These programs have no educational value to further their academic achievement. I suggest hitting the restart button and really looking into the best interests of our students and our teachers' ability to teach the children the academics they imagined they would teach when they pursued their dream to become a teacher. Vote for change and fresh ideas on what is in the best interest of the children, our teachers, our extended community. Children are our future. Thank you.
Do you want to answer?
Sure. When I was a senior in high school, I was actually a bookkeeper. It was Faye's drugstore at the time, and then they were bought out by Eckerd's. So on the weekends, I would work in the office managing all the tills of all the registers. I was in charge of running strips for all the registers, doing the till, doing the money, counting the coupons back in the day with coupons, and making deposits to the bank. So it's my financial background that I had done when I was a senior in high school.
Thank you. Rich?
Hi folks, my name is Rich Bianculi. My wife Sarah and I have lived in Sebago for about 7 years. We moved here in 2015. We have 3 children. Richard is 7, he's in Miss Bennett's class. Eva is 5, and she's in Miss Elsesser's class. And we have Amelie, who's our newest arrival. She's only 1, so she won't be in school for a few years. My main job is working as the neighborhood prosecutor for the city of Portland. I work in the police department, so I deal with a lot of Freedom of Information Act requests. I deal with a lot of neighborhood conflicts. I'm a mediator when these conflicts arise. I have to enforce the city's ordinances. So when we have disorderly houses or dangerous dogs or graffiti in the town, I'm prosecuting those cases for the city of Portland inside the police department. I work really close with the district attorney's office. I have a law degree from Vermont Law School, and I have a master's in public administration from the University of Rhode Island. So that's my background in budget. That should answer that question. We had many classes in budgeting. I've participated here on Sebago's budget committee as well. I'm running for the 1-year position as well. Sorry, I shouldn't be nervous, but it's all about our kids and the kids here in town. I'm really excited about that. I'm here to make sure that everything's transparent. That's really part of my job at the Portland Police Department. You know, everyone may not have the greatest image of what police are or what they represent, but everything is out there on the table. We want to make sure that people have access to everything that the police department retains. So if you want access to video, I'm there to provide it to the public. If you want access to reports, I'm there to give that to the public. I want to make sure that happens here at Spago. I don't think we have anything to hide here. You know, I participate in my children's homework. I see what they come home with. I see what the social and emotional learning program is, and it's really nothing to hide. Kids need to talk about how to share, how to get along with their peers. If you look at the program, it's all right there. You know, an example from my son's homework the other day was the exact social emotional learning program. And it was how to make friends and keep friends. And part of that is, you know, inviting kids to play or trading or, you know, sharing something that you have. That's how you make friends and keep friends. It's really nothing new. Folks think it's new or revolutionary. It's teaching kids how to get along. It's helping kids deal with their emotions. We've been through 2 years here with COVID, and you know, kids really need to talk about what's going on at home. You know, many years ago, back in the 1950s, everyone had 2 parents, and you know, most of the time their mom was home all day long to help them with their homework, help them get along. Nowadays, it's not always like that. We have lots of families with single parents. Sometimes the grandparents are taking care of kids. They need to come to school and be able to talk about their feelings, because if they can't, and they can't be productive in school, then it brings everyone else down. So I'm here to participate. I think Sebago is a great community because we're all doers, we're all hands-on. When something needs to be done here on the playground, you know, we all unite. We want to get the skating rink up in the wintertime. I think we have a great town, and we just need to focus on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Maggie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Maggie Williams. I'm the docket. They'll say Margaret Williams, but most people know me as Maggie. So I am currently an interim on the school board after a couple of people just stepped down. And so basically, I have been in this town for about 7 years. Same thing, you know, my husband and I, when we were looking for land and where to go, we were drawn to this town. You know, both of us had grown up in Maine, and I love this town. You know, it's reminds me of where I grew up. I grew up in New Gloucester. This is a lovely town, and I love how the community helps each other. I love how people know who everybody is. I love that, you know, all the kids get excited when they see everybody else. You know, the Sebago days are wonderful. I have 2 children in school. I've got a 3rd grader and a kindergarten child. You know, my main reason for running for this board, even after, you know, trying it out this year, is because I want to do what's best for our children. That's my number 1 goal. You know, it's every decision I make is for the benefit of the children. And that is my entire reason for doing this. I think this school has so much potential. I think it's a great school. And I would like to see some things improve, you know, which I think we all would. And, you know, I also think that, you know, I'm open-minded. You know, I may have my opinion, but it doesn't mean I'm not willing to hear somebody else's. You know, I'm more than happy to listen. And if we don't agree, that's okay. But maybe we can meet somewhere in the middle. We can try to figure things out. My background, I attended University of Maine in Orono. I have a BS degree in animal science. I've been in the biotech company for 21 years. So I currently am the manager of the lab there. As far as financial, a little bit, not a whole lot, I'll be honest as well. I would say the bulk of my experience with financial stuff is, you know, your personal household, but also, you know, I do run a lab. I do have budgets. You know, same thing, especially with COVID and with the increase in pricing right now, we have to really look at everything that we're purchasing and we're buying and how much do we need and what does it cost and where can we cut back. So I do a fair share of that at work, but it's definitely not my expertise. And like I said, my main goal is just, I want to do what's right for the children. I want to make sure that the time that they are at this school, that they benefit the most from it, between education, between socializing with their peers, the rec department, the sports that they play, making friends, and same thing, I want to be involved. That's why I'm doing it, because I also am very heavily involved. When my kids bring their homework home, I check it every night. I say, hey, do you guys have homework? What'd you guys do today? Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of, nothing, but I find a lot of times that, maybe when it's bath time and they start to open up, and that's when you do find out, oh, I did this today and I did this today. And I think it's great. So like you said, I think the programs that are offered at this school, I agree, there's nothing to hide here. And I think we could be better at communicating with the public. I'd like to see more of that. I know as a parent in years past, I would like to know more. And I think it's something that the board can definitely work on. I'd love to see that, because I think the parents in the community would love to know what's going on. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with what they're doing right now. And I think that this school has a ton of potential, and I just want to try to improve that. Thank you.
Thanks, Maggie. Chris?
Hi, for those that don't know me, I'm Chris Carrier, and I detest public speaking, so I'm gonna try to keep my voice steady. I'm a mom of two very adventurous little boys. We've lived in Sebago for about 10 years. I've lived in Maine most of my life, and I've spent over 20 years working with kids. I'm going to try to shoot from the hip and speak from my heart, and hope that this message resonates with you. It comes with the purest of intentions. I wouldn't be sitting here otherwise. I've worked with kids. It started in high school. I wanted to be in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. I was told I was too young, so I recruited some friends and we started our own. We got grant money. We went to Stephen King. We created this program and were invited to the State House to meet the governor as a result. So it started as a sophomore. I worked really hard in school, earned a full scholarship, headed off to college. I was in a really bad car accident and almost died. Ended up with a traumatic brain injury that really kind of shot me on this trajectory of, if I get better, what do I want to do with this life that I have? So I started working with kids with special needs at Camp Capella. It's a summer camp for children with disabilities. And learned a whole lot about human nature when it comes to grit, resilience, strength of character. I learned gifts from those kids that I could never possibly repay. They showed awareness and empathy, and it's really where true connections with human beings happen and where understanding and compassion take root. Following that, I worked as a behavioral specialist supporting kids and families. I saw things that would break your heart, but really only solidified my view that all children deserve adults that will fight for them and believe in them. I served as a liaison with special education teams in schools to support kids. And following that, I've earned a couple of degrees in education, and I've taught second grade through middle school in both public and private schools. Interacting with kids in the natural world has always been kind of a specific passion of mine. I've led writing workshops in forests and beside waterfalls. I've taken trips to Baxter State Park with 8 to 10-year-olds, journeyed up snowy mountains in New Hampshire, taught 6th graders aboard a sailing scooter in the Caribbean, and camped with middle schoolers in rainforests. All of these experiences are pieces of who I am and why I feel like I have a place to sit here and talk to you. The lasting relationships with students and their families are probably my greatest source of pride beyond being a mom. But mostly it's the trust parents place in educators that I think is the most humbling thing. So fast forward to now, recently I've been trying to help more locally. Access to literature for all kids is something that really matters to me. So I've donated books to the library outside of school, clothing and gear to kids in need, and connected a lot with some really wonderful people that I see sitting out there that are doing really great work in this town. Whether it's PTC, organizing Fall Fest, Trunk or Treat, collaborating with groups to throw the lantern parade like Spikes, and even last night, the science fair. We were in this cafeteria with 8 very excited little scientists, and it was really cool. Like, this is the real work that's happening in this town. This is what we should be focusing on. Like, there are really great things we can be doing, but when we waste our time talking about things that aren't happening, it's tragic. I think we really need to double down and focus on what's real. Which is why I'm running. I kind of feel like we're at a crossroads. A few years ago, Sebago made a really bold choice to separate from a bigger district and become our own school. If this is who we are and what we value, and I really believe that to be true based on conversations I have with so many people in this town, then we really need to make an equally bold choice about who we are, what we stand for, and how we want to conduct ourselves. Our teachers and our children are watching and they're listening. I've interacted with so many of you, whether it's a friendly wave in the drop-off line, birthday parties, or kids' baseball games. And because of these interactions, I get the sense that we all want that strong community where our kids can grow up with values of respect and a sense of responsibility. They need to see those traits when they observe us. In light of this, I really can't in good conscience ignore what's been happening recently. Words carry weight, and although we have the power to bring people together, words can also cause a great deal of harm. Sebago Elementary School educators have been falsely accused and unfairly treated, and it would be wrong for me to not address this directly. Critical race theory is not being taught in Sebago. It's not happening through social emotional learning or in any other context. Those who've made these claims against our teachers have been offered multiple opportunities to explore the materials. No evidence has been found because it doesn't exist. As a teacher, I've taught this curriculum. I wouldn't lie to you. School administrators have offered invitations to look through the program, and just this issue keeps taking up time and space that I wish we could harness all of this for good, for the children in front of us, to support the teachers in this town. I'm thinking back to when I was still teaching, when COVID hit, all of a sudden teachers were lauded as heroes when parents realized, oh my God, they do this for every kid in their class every day. And they go back day after day after day. And somewhere along the way, it's like we forgot about that. And if our teachers don't feel valued, why would they come to school every day? And how would our kids have positive experiences in school if these are the things that we're saying? I truly believe our teachers are doing the best they can with the tools they have. And I'm running because I know what it's like to be a teacher. I know what it's like to be a parent. I think simultaneously they are the best and most challenging jobs that you could undertake. And I guess to close, I think the reason that you should consider me for a 2-year term on the board, you will never hear me say disparaging, discriminatory remarks about children, ever. It goes against everything I believe in. I stated in our last meeting, and I'll say it again, that all children living in the United States have a right to a free public education, and to suggest otherwise is unconscionable. All children must be given equal educational opportunity, no matter their race, ethnic background, religion, gender, ability, or disability, rich or poor. We don't pick and choose, we don't segregate or separate. And as a community, we need to stand up to those who suggest that we should. Arguing against inclusion is embracing intolerance. In light of all that, I believe that I can be a rational voice. My perspectives as a teacher and a parent are the lens for focusing on the big picture, which is to do my part, along with other members of the committee, to speak on behalf of kids and teachers in our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Do we have any questions from the public? Justin?
Yes, this is specific for you who is CRT to talk to you guys at SEL?
I do.
You do. I'm glad you said that. So in the committee meeting 4/26/22, at 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 40 seconds, you stated, and I'm quoting you, these programs are not for the normal child. They are programs that specifically are for children with special needs, which are ADHD, autism, and I'm going to call it the R word. That word is where you went wrong. So are you telling us that that you are stating that CRT is being taught under SEL, but only the special education students are able to actually utilize and actually comprehend that teaching? Now that teaching is actually a graduate level study. We don't teach that. Also, I contacted the Maine Developmental Disabilities Council, and I had them review the meeting, and they stated that the use of the R word, by some chance, if you won, It will create a degree of liability for the town of Sebago if you showed bigotry, which you did in that meeting as an official on this board. I also contacted the Disability Rights of Maine. They provided a statement which reads in part, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but the R word is used to put people down who are psychiatric survivors. It destroys hopes and dreams of others. It's like a sword, it's sharp to a point. And my other question, my last question is, do you know what Rose's Law is? You do not. Rose's Law is a law that was passed in Congress in 2010. It states that the outdated term you used in the meeting should be replaced with intellectual disability. Use the R word is not acceptable. That is all.
Do you want to respond?
So apparently you didn't do the research that I had done when I looked up the zones of regulation. If you dig a little deeper down another rabbit hole, you will find that they're backed up by social thinking. And I pulled those words directly out of social thinking, which I have a copy of, and you can find it yourself. It's spent me hours. I spent hours.
Do I need to
researching
wear my
this.
tinfoil hat?
Can I ask what social thinking? I mean, I've been
Social-
I've never heard it.
Social thinking is like the sister or mother to the zones of regulation. So the zones of regulation is being taught here in the school. And if you dig a little deeper,
And I've
they're
written in the curriculum.
they're backed up by the committee called social thinking. And social thinking is where if you dig a little deeper, you'll see that the words that I had brought up at the meeting, that originally these programs were meant for special education needed children with autism. You know, sorry about the mental retardation. I did read that. I'm not sure that it had changed. But it's for those special needs children, but now they're indoctrinating it into every single child in every classroom where it's not every single child needs to have the social emotional learning that is meant for the children with the social emotional needs. That's the research I've done. I have evidence of it. I'm not making it up.
From the internet where?
Yeah,
What is?
go to zones of regulation and dig deep, you'll find it.
Are there any other questions?
Mainstreaming for what?
The children in schools.
Absolutely, that's why I'm here. I'm fighting for these kids.
You know what?
My son in pre-K came home and told me that his teacher said you can be born a boy and turn into a girl.
That's not mainstreaming.
But
Mainstreaming
that is why I'm here fighting, because these things are being discussed in school, and he was told by the teacher that she is his parent.
Well, you don't believe what it is, you don't even know, I mean, mainstreaming is that students with special needs are incorporated into the classroom.
I understand that, I understand the
You believe
laws.
in that.
I believe what's ever best for the children. Whatever they need, they should have. I've spoken to many different teachers, I've spoken to many special education teachers all around the state of Maine. And they say that, yes, they do incorporate students in the classroom, but if there's special instances where they need to pull that child out into like a room to get that one-on-one that they need, they do that at their school. I feel every student needs to be given the opportunity to be the best they can be with the education that we can give them. Everybody needs to have that.
Justin?
What you said about your son, coming home and mentioning gender identity issues, is what I assume you were talking about. Did you watch the commercial? Because that's almost the exact wording in the commercial that I've seen.
Okay, well, he told me that a couple months ago, so the commercial just came out last week.
Okay.
Tina?
This is the change of topic.
It's fine, you can ask the candidates anything.
First, I'd like to state that we all come to be honest with ourselves, we all come to the table with our own biases, correct? So if there was an issue to be voted on, and all the facts and materials that were collected went against your bias, how would you cast your vote would it be in favor of your bias, or would you be looking at the facts before you? When the thought that went through my head, I was trying to think of a policy. There's a policy, I believe, where the principal has a great deal of discretion in disciplinary. There's a series of disciplinary steps that the child is to be suspended from school. That's, the principal has the final say on that, I believe, to look at the child, the age of the child, et cetera. So would your vote, I think what you need to, would your vote be based on your own bias, or would it be on the facts and the information that have been gathered by the group?
Anybody want to take that?
I mean, I can go first on that one. I mean, I think, like you said, Tina, we all have inherent bias. We're a product of our environment and, you know, who raised us and who influenced us over the years. I think that's always in the background, but every person's role on a board is to be unbiased as much as possible, to take all the information available at hand, but not only to take that information that you have at hand, but to go out into the community and seek the opinion of the community. Because we're here to represent the entire town. We're not here to represent, you know, Richby and Cooley or, you know, the Bacchianos. We're here to think of what is the best for the school and how we want everyone to be treated. So I think you have to take all of those things into account.
Claudia?
Do any of you have a vision for the school in the future? Besides the everyday communications and that sort of thing? Broader.
I feel like we're a few years into this whole endeavor of becoming our own school. And I listened to a teacher recently share a comment that I wish I could be as beautifully articulate as he was, but it was around like, okay, so now what? Like, who are we as a school? Like, what are we about? What's our vision? What's our mission? And I think it's kind of time to give teachers the opportunity to sit and reflect. So, like, we're at a point of change. We're having a new principal. Like, it's a big moment. Like, the teachers have been dealing with COVID. So it's like, okay, can we pause, take a breath and think, who are we? What matters to us? What matters to this community? And kind of harness that into, okay, so what now? And I think I have ideas for sure, but I'm not presumptive enough to think that I could speak on behalf of all of the teachers and staff that work in this building. I have ideas, love to talk about them, but I think it's a chance for the school to really decide, what are we about?
I think the hardest part too, though, is I definitely agree with that. But I know personally, I'd love to see more from the parents too, as a parent myself. Because the parents have good ideas, and we need to hear them, you know, and there are children that are in the school, you know, the programs we have, the curriculum we do, anything we do, like I said, this school has a ton of potential. And, you know, the fact that the town loves it enough to keep it open and segregate from, because they didn't want it to close, speaks volumes. And so I think it's also our job and the teacher's job to get more parents involved and say, hey, you know, guys, if you have an idea, you want to hear it. How do we make this school better? And how do us as a board, how do we listen? And how do we take those ideas and see if we can run with them?
Yeah, I always kind of saw Sebago as a hands-on community where, you know, folks want to help. Like, if you look at some of the seesaws on the playground, they really need to be fixed. I think we would benefit from having a projects committee, not only from having a PTC that deals with a lot of the social events, but having a projects committee or folks that they might not have resources to donate, but they have talents and tools that they can donate. They can donate their time and they can really make this place a better place. I also think we need to think about how we're going to spend some of the ARPA money that we received from the feds. We received, you know, a pretty sizable amount of funds. Some folks think that we should, you know, add on to the school. Some folks think we should invest the money in different ways, but I think we need to gather that information from the public on what they believe is really necessary before we move forward.
And I see the opportunity to do great things here. I want this to be one of the top 10 public schools in the state of Maine. And the way we can do that is by asking our teachers, what can we do for you? Because I feel that they got this program dumped on their lap because it came into the board, it was voted on and passed without any of the teachers being able to accept it. Now they're in a workshop for a weekend, learning how to teach this social emotional learning. And it's taking up valuable time from their academics. Their scores are so low because they're taking up all this time teaching social emotional learning all day or throughout the day. We need to focus on the education, and we can do that here.
Would you like to do
Michelle,
that? Hold on. I just want Kirsten to address that comment.
so the comment that the teachers did not have input, unfortunately, is inaccurate. The fact of the matter is that we researched multiple social emotional learning programs. We had our social worker, our teacher, our guidance counselor, teachers, parents from us, and we asked them to all look at our different programs, and we looked at multiple ones, and we determined that the second step best met the needs of our school community and our community at large. And so that was the one that we chose as a staff to recommend to the board. We did a presentation. We asked the board for their approval and they gave it to us. So there was input from them.
So where is the academics with it?
The academics are being supported with this most social emotional learning.
And that is not part of the main learning results, so it's taking up valuable time
So
away from the things that they need for an education.
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Okay.
Just leave it there.
I will leave it there.
Michelle,
I was just gonna basically say what everyone was saying. I think involving teachers and parents and getting their input on what they feel they want to see in the future so they go elementary school. I also would love to see increased numbers in sports and extracurricular activities for kids outside of school. I think it's just so important for mental health and everything for kids nowadays to be able to be involved in after school stuff as well.
thank you. We're running long on time, so I'll take one more question.
Thank you. It used to be that we could walk into a classroom and watch teachers observe. I taught for 50 years. Everything from every grade level, actually, out through high school, except for third grade. And I had many parents that would come into the classroom and visit. And parents were welcome to visit to see what was going on in the classroom. In fact, some of them would come in and then they would become much more involved as a result of visiting in the classroom and seeing what was going on. I want to know how many of us have been into a classroom to observe teachers teaching. That's great. It's way more than usual. Excellent. I recommend you do this. That's all.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. This concludes our mini Meet the Candidates. What an amazing turnout. And we will recess for a couple of minutes and regroup and start our meeting.
Yeah.
But I doesn't matter. It really will be great. Yeah, I also do.
David, I'm going to send you another link because I have a feeling we'll probably run out again, but it'll be for the next half hour. I can't hear you. Okay, I'll end the meeting and start it again.
Thank you. We can't address everything that comes up, but I think feeling in the room.
What she said that one of my teachers said is offensive and is absolutely untrue, and my teacher is devastated that she is being accused of this. That she's being accused of saying something like that.
There's a law that states you cannot debate. And I will be, if you can document what that was, I am sending an email to Nancy on last week's letter. Because I don't know online, but that's not my so anything else.
Is that working, David? Okay, all right. I'm gonna also create a second link for you. I'll have it start at 8 o'clock. I'll send you another link for a later meeting because I've only got 40 minutes out of whack. Here I am. All right. Good. Okay. All right.
Let's get the meeting going.
Huh?
Let's get that meeting going.
All right. All right.
Because so many people don't have access to video. And these were the records that was last 50 years.
Okay, everybody, we're gonna call this meeting to order. Could everybody please sit down?
Alex, where's your attention, everybody?
We're starting our meeting.
Oh, the teacher.
Yeah, oh, very good. Thank you.
Son of a nutcracker. Oh, it signed me out, but okay. I think we're all set.
Just from my perspective,
Okay, I was trying to do something else. Multitask.
I would like to call for a moment of silence in recognition of the tragedy that happened in Texas at an elementary school today. Thank you. It's a tragedy. Okay, we are going to take attendance and call this meeting to order. Joe is absent and the rest of us are present. And let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
United States of America,
And to the republic for which it
which
stands,
stands
one nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice.
justice for all.
Okay, we were going to, I have an agenda adjustment, so I need a motion to for I-1 to put it on the June agenda. So could I have a motion for that? So thank you. I need a second. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Okay. Then I need a motion to postpone the approval of the minutes for March and April. And we will take care of it in June.
Yeah, I'll make.
Okay, thank you. Seconded. Thank you. Any discussion? No, seeing none, all in favor?
Wait,
Okay.
wait, just a minute. For the board, very last page is an email that the mental health question information. The first email that's there for the March 22nd minutes. You had a question to know, and that was my reply.
Okay.
You want to modify the minutes or leave them as is?
That's going to take some discussion, and so I think workshopping them in June, and then we can finally,
Okay, so you want to table this again?
so I want to table this.
Then your motion and second need to withdraw their motion and second, and a new motion be made to table this.
Okay. Well, my wording didn't say table, I said put off.
Oh, gotcha, because I'm like, isn't that what we did? Gotcha.
So who made the motion?
I did. I'll make the motion to table this until June.
First, you have to withdraw your other motion.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, I withdraw my other motion.
Stop laughing, David. I withdraw my second. Okay, and is everyone in favor of that? Okay, so now we need a motion to table those until June.
So
Want to table both of them?
Yes,
Okay,
make a motion to table both of those minutes. for June.
thank you. Second. Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, thank you.
okay, thank you.
Okay. It is time for public comment. No? Okay, Randa?
I have a letter from the staff of the school, not representing the association, but some our association member. This is concerning the school calendar. Dear school committee members, we are writing in support of the addition of extra early release days to the 22-23 school year calendar. There are several reasons we feel these days would be beneficial for our school community. As a standalone school, we have learned that staff members need to wear many hats to participate in a variety of roles, which entail different meetings. These meetings include work on brainstorming ideas about student progress, curriculum development, and professional growth, aligning standards to report cards, testing, and other school issues as needed. The committees include response to intervention, technology, health and wellness, and school-wide professional development. Since becoming our own department, we have not had enough time to adequately address and develop these important components of our school. It may appear that in a small school that we have many opportunities throughout the day to touch base with our colleagues. This does not happen. Teachers get one prep period per day. Because of the challenges of a small school, that time does not coincide with any other teacher's time. We have staggered lunch periods, which means we see only a few colleagues at lunch. We can go all day without seeing many of our fellow staff members. If we're going to build a school community where student needs are our top priority, we need to be able to meet and communicate as a professional learning community. It is important that this happens on a regular basis. We want to work to develop a vision that ensures our students are getting the best education possible. In order for that to happen, we need more time. Thank you for your consideration. Sincerely, Chris Bennett, Edbridge Koningsberg, Elizabeth Connell, Jenna Elsesser, Sue Harmon, Leslie McConnell, Jamie Payne, Amy Russo, Ashley Russo, Amy Sweetser, Willow Timothy, Miranda Vacchiano, Randa Vitola, Cassie Winslow.
Thank you, Randa. Okay. And we'll be discussing the calendar. It's on under action items. Okay, next up is our superintendent's report.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Great.
I can.
So this is kind of a strange one, but I'm going to share a number of things. First, that this is my final school committee meeting of the 2021-22 school year. As you know, I was diagnosed with ALS in September. It's important for me to make sure that my family is taken care of and has health insurance. So I am choosing to retire. And what I hope you will see is a series of action items. The first one is accepting my resignation effective 5/31. The second is appointing Steve Connolly as an interim. You'll get to meet Steve soon.
David, can you speak up?
I can try.
Thank you.
There are a series of action items coming up in today's meeting. The first is accepting my resignation effective 5/31. The second is appointing Steve Connolly as our interim superintendent for the month of June. And the third is hopefully an action item to rehire me effective July 1st for the coming year. This will allow me to begin taking my main state retirement and making sure my family is on health insurance in case my health goes bad quickly. So I'm giving you a heads up. I'm being transparent about what's going on. And I hope that I continue to be a member of the Sebago community as long as possible. I also want to give a heartfelt thank you to Kirsten Goff. A thank you for helping me join the district. A thank you for being there for our school as it became independent. A thank you for all the time that you have spent together with me this year, working through the day-to-day of our Sebago Elementary School. This is my last school committee meeting with Kirsten, so I'm saying my goodbye now. I want to make sure she knows how much I value her as an educator, as a leader, and as a person. I wish her the best of luck as she moves to South Carolina, continues her path as an educator. Thank you, Kirsten. It's a meeting of goodbyes and thank yous. I also want to thank Alan Crabtree for his years of service as our school committee recorder. Alan has worked tirelessly to keep us working within the guidelines of Robert's Rules of Order, often a challenging task. Alan, I had that written before you intervened today. I also wish him the best as he works to enjoy each and every day in his life. I'm sure the chair will bring it up. Joe McMahon's not with us tonight. This is his last meeting, and I want to publicly thank him for his years of service to our school, our district, and our community. He served as our school committee. He served on our school committee from the very start. We will miss him, and I wish him the best. And I want to take a quick minute to introduce John LaPerriere, who will be our next principal, and Steve Connolly, who will be our interim superintendent. So they'll stand up and wave, and then when it comes time for their action items, they'll also get a chance to speak.
Okay, so that the gentleman with the white shirt is Steve
John.
John,
John
LaPerriere. Wow, that's classic me. And the tall guy is Steve Connolly.
And you'll have a chance to hear them say their hellos when we get to those action items. And Madam Chair, that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Who is doing the presentation on the ESEA plan?
That's me.
That's you. Okay. You're up.
Really quick.
Yeah.
Since we received such a minimal amount of money, $34,950.61 from the different title grants, we combine all of them under the Title I funding source. Those funds are then used to pay a portion of the salary benefits of one of our teachers. The purpose of title funding is not to pay for things we already do. Instead, we have to use the money to do things that are above and beyond what we do in the classroom, and paying for the salary benefits of an interventionist meets that criteria. See?
Awesome. Thank you.
And it's an opportunity for public comment on that.
Yes.
Yes. Does anybody like to comment on that?
Okay, well, great job. Would you like to continue with your principals?
Sure, principals report. We will be wrapping up our NWBA testing next week. The kids have been working really hard to show us what they know. The spring fling will be held this Friday. Fingers crossed, no rain. The teachers have been working hard to make this a fun event. We had the pre-K and kindergarten screening last Tuesday. We screened 14 incoming pre-K kiddos and 6 incoming kindergartners. The pre-K class is now full, and we will start a waiting list if anyone requests to register their child. We are already at 18 students for kindergarten next school year. That leaves us just 2 slots before we would potentially have to hire another adult. The town is growing. We have all kinds of field trips happening. GT students went to Squam Lake yesterday. On June 3rd, grades 3 through 5 are going to the planetarium. 5th graders are going to the art museum on the 4th. 4th grade will be going to actually Mr. Rich Koningberg's farm with all the wool they've been doing. Mrs. Van Ness can attest to making shoes. It'd be nice to see where a lot of that wool comes from, and a lot of it comes from Mr. Rich Koningberg's sheep. Students in 5th grade will be going to the middle school for Step Up Day. Pre-K through 2nd are going to the main wildlife park, and 3rd grade is either going the same day or the day after. I'm still working on that. Kindergarten will have its celebration on June 9th. 5th grade will have its celebration on June 10th. We'll be doing a step-up day for kiddos in pre-K through 4 on the 10th at 9 o'clock, so they can see their new classroom and meet their new teacher. June 10th will be the last day for pre-K students, which is why we're doing the step-up day, because that's the one time they're all together on Fridays. We will give out awards to grades 1 through 4 on Monday through June 13th. And which also happens to be the last day of school for students in grade 5, K through 5. Students will be dismissed at noon and bag lunches will be sent home for those. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, under the chairwoman's report, I'm sorry Joe's not here, but I understand. And I wanted to thank him, which I will do when I see him, but also in public, for his many years of serving the town of Sebago. He was on the SAD 61 school board as a representative from Sebago for many years. And then he joined in the Friends of Sebago Elementary movement, which turned into the movement for withdrawal from 61. He was on the withdrawal committee and he ran for one of the positions on our first school committee in Sebago and has served up to the present. And so I would just like to extend a huge thank you to Joe. He has done a lot of hard work and it is very much appreciated. Okay. Okay, so we are up to action items. So I need a motion to approve the ESEA plan that our principal has moved previously talked about. I need a second. Okay, any discussion? Okay, good job.
Thank you.
All in favor? Okay, then we are up to updates on the family handbook. I need a motion to approve the updates on the family handbook.
Motion to approve the updates of the family handbook.
Okay. Seconded. Okay, thank you. Any discussion on that? Anyone have questions? Okay, all in favor? Okay. Okay. So I believe I call for a motion to approve the 2022-2023 school calendar, and then we discuss it. I believe that's the proper process.
That is true, and I believe the motion is actually on the revised calendar.
The revised calendar, okay.
How do we take into account the letter shared on behalf of the teachers?
That would be the discussion, because we can change
I think we need
things
to
that
take
are
that
on
into
there.
account.
So that would be where we have a discussion. Okay, so we need a motion to discuss. We need a motion
I'll make a motion
on the
to
calendar.
approve.
Okay. The
That is the
revised,
motion.
Calendar.
okay. I need a second. Maggie's not gonna do it. I want to discuss it.
Don't
Well, yeah, we're going to discuss it.
speak all at the same time.
I second.
So much.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? There we go. Maggie, you have the floor.
So, Miranda, I definitely take into account what your teachers are saying. So that's why when I want to discuss it, I have questions, because like you said, I'm not an educator, so I don't know what you guys are going through during the day. And I had mentioned this before, that, so for example, if you look at the calendar, the way it is right now, I think my biggest ones that I'm questioning are more the half days that come right after, like, take for example, September 7th. We start school on a Thursday, and then we're off Friday, we're off Monday, we come back to school Tuesday, and then we have a half day Wednesday. It's just, they're not in school for very long before we already have a half day. So some of those, and the same thing happens in January, where they have school vacation for a whole week, and then they have the Monday off because it's a holiday, but then we have a half day that Wednesday. You know, it all falls into like the same timeline. So my question is instead of having them fall into those same timelines, if you guys need time, what I had asked David about is, could we maybe replace them with maybe a teacher workshop day? And the reason why I ask that is because I understand, and I'm going from a parent's point of view. Whenever my kids have a half day, a lot of times, and I'm like, oh, what'd you guys do today? They don't seem to be as productive because it's a half day. And so instead of doing that, and I'd even ask some teachers, is it productive to have the half day for a teacher workshop? And I think some of them are like, well, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. They're being completely honest. And so I think they're asking, well, would it be more beneficial instead of having these half days, pick a day that you can take the full day? So maybe cut back on some of the half days, but put in a full day here and there that maybe the teachers will definitely benefit more from it because you've got the full day to do it, but we're also not taking kids out of a half day all the time. And I know they made a point of, well, if we do more teacher workshop days, we have to make it up at the end of the year. In the same token, we also don't have snow days anymore. And I was kind of asking that too, to say, well, right now, the last day of school, I think, is the 9th. And in the past, we have some wiggle room to maybe add on a couple more days, because is it better to maybe extend your school year by maybe 2 or 3 days, which in the scheme of things isn't horrible, and maybe put in some more of the teacher workshop days instead of a lot of half days? And because again, I see another half day in June. You have a half day 2 days before the last day of school. And I'm not an educator, so I'm just wondering, is that one beneficial to you guys when you're getting ready to wrap up the school year? I don't know. So that's why I'm kind of asking, can we maybe make a compromise where maybe some of these half days kind of go away, but can we put in a teacher workshop day? Can we put in a couple of them? And can the teachers maybe benefit more from a full day? So.
Can I respond to some of your?
Yes, you may.
All right, so part of it may have budgetary constraints to it. If you're adding on above the 182 days, then that adds to the funding.
Okay.
Ed techs are only contracted for so many days, so we would want them to be included in some of the professional development. That would add, if it was above their time, that would add for them as well. Concerning the one in June, that's a time when one teacher meets with the next teacher and talking about strengths and weaknesses of the upcoming class.
Oh, okay.
Gives us a chance to meet. I know it seems awkward at the beginning of the year to have one as well, but that's a time when we're reviewing programs. We have a new literacy program that we have yet really to have any training on. What little training we did have really focused on kindergarten or first grade, and it left the rest of us out. And we're just trying to still figure out how to make the program work. They are valuable. We have programs that we really haven't had a chance to dive into.
Mm-hmm.
Training hasn't been all of what we need, or you don't have a chance to practice what they've given you.
Okay.
They are beneficial.
Oh, and I'm not saying they're not. I think, I think I'm also looking at it from a parent point of view, to say, can they maybe just not fall on the same week where you already have a Monday off? And the only reason why I say that is because there's a lot of working parents that, like, not all of us have these holidays off, and some of us are working. And so now you've got a Monday off, and then you've got to turn around, and now you've got a half day Wednesday. So, and again, I know we've all said it, there's no childcare or after school programs, which make it tough for parents. So I'm just wondering, can maybe we just move some of them?
I think Wendy has an answer for you.
David has talked to us at Spice, and we've been talking about doing, for half days, doing some school enrichment programs for the kids. And David, I don't know if you have looked into it, but we were talking about having a bus available to take the kids home. So then that would not only give the kids something on that half day that they could do, whether it's something through Spice, whether it's, the Mad Science program or an art project or something like that, and then the kids would get a ride home. So that might help to alleviate some of the stress that's put on the parents.
Right.
Would that be all kids or?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, yes. I mean, that's what we've been talking about. David?
It certainly could be. It would basically be keeping the bus runs at the normal time.
Yeah, okay.
If we had close to full school participation. So that's a possibility. I also just want to make sure, I'm not sure I heard Randa say it, but I want to give information to the committee. We need to have 175 student days, and a student day counts as any day where we offer lunch. So our half days count as full days in the state's mind. We are contracted with our educators to work 182 days. So there are 7 days before school, conference time, after school, where teachers are paid for a full day without students. If we wanted to move to a model where we had additional staff days instead of early release Wednesdays, it would be part of collective bargaining. We'd have to pay teachers for additional days, which I am completely open to thinking about. I don't think it can happen for next year based on budget and contract.
Okay. When do you need the calendar approved by, I guess is my next question.
June 1st is the latest date.
Crap, that's coming right up. Okay. So I guess my question is, and I know you said you have 182 days for teacher contracts. As far as teacher workshop days, how many do you know are you allowed to have for the school year? Do you guys know that off the top of your head? So then so you still fall within the 182?
It's 7 workshop days.
It's 7 workshop
It
days,
is
so 1, 2, 3, 4. So right now you have 5 teacher workshop days.
But there are 2 additional days.
Oh, there are?
That are the day before Thanksgiving. That's actually
so where it says no school, that's still a teacher workshop?
It's not a workshop, it's actually compensation for the teachers who've done teacher workshop, teacher conferences in November, and then the day after school gets out is the other.
Okay, so you're already using the 7?
We are.
Well, there goes that. Okay. That was my next question.
But Maggie, that is something that other districts have done. They have basically paid for more professional time,
right?
Increased student instructional time. It's something we would have to bargain and budget for.
Okay.
Kelly?
We're about to lose David, so if we want to pause for just a moment.
Yeah, let's pause.
Let him create another meeting.
I was also looking at the January calendar, and if you change the Wednesdays just by a week, then you would have a day off.
Well, that was kind of my next
So
question.
that was, maybe instead of the 4th and the 18th, we had the 11th and the 25th. And that way it doesn't, you don't have days off,
Well, and I
twice
guess,
that week.
here's my other question for you, Randa, because you're a teacher. Is it something where could you go like the first half of the year the way it is, like from September through December? And then as you guys have your workshops, as you go into the second part of the year, say, do we truly need this many more? Or are we good to go 1 a month? Is that something that we can revise later on? I don't know how set in stone you have to be with the half days, but it's just something to think about, to say, because, who knows?
I don't
maybe-
interrupt, but
Yeah.
we did that this year.
Yep.
We identified a need, we presented to the committee, and the committee approved some additional early release time for us. So once the calendar is adopted, there is a process for revision.
There is, okay.
Okay, hold that thought. All right, I've sent you another invite, David.
All right.
next meeting. Thank you for long, morning, take 3. When did I just start? Oh, shenanigans. Just love technology. I can't have 2 screens open, so I have to use my personal one. Which is why there's a. It's cold there. Seriously. Well, it's now installing an update. Yes. Okay. John, I hope you're paying attention. This is you next year. Run away? Did he ran away? Oh. Really can't tell which one I'm starting.
Little bitty baby.
Wow. I'm sorry that just is not. Back here.
That's okay.
You know what? I'm gonna tell him to do Google Meets. Let's do that. Starting. Okay. Okay. Join. Not quite yet. Not yet. Almost.
I'm encouraging you along the way. You and Saturday. Keep up the good.
O-N-E. There you go. Wait, just a minute. Hey, waiting for host. I know you are. Sign out of Zoom. It won't let him join.
That's like COVID teaching nightmare.
Right?
PTSD.
My word, it's just.
I would.
So calm, FaceTime. That's what I just did. It won't let him in. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Awesome. Right, that's all I have. I have the Zoom account that lets it be long, that's what's on that. But we don't want to pay for that twice.
That's what we did before.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Because he needs to be here.
He kind of does.
Yeah.
Yep. Important things.
Okay.
Kind of remote.
All right. You know what? Call. All right. I hope my husband doesn't call.
I, that earlier, I got the text.
He's still there.
Hey,
Okay,
sorry, I don't know what happened.
I don't either. I give. I'm putting you on FaceTime. Okay,
All right, I'm back.
okay. Thank you for your patience during my.
Sorry about that, everybody.
You'll have to speak up.
That's what I'll do. I'll walk around. Okay, everybody's gonna have to put on their listening ears.
closer if you need to.
Right. The microphone will pick it up, so if you miss what he says, watch the video later.
Kelly, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was just gonna comment back to the maybe having math, science or something like that. And my question would be, I know that's expensive from participating in that personally for my sons. Like who would cover that? And is that something, because I know when we offered at school before, there wasn't many families that did that. So keep that in mind. And then the second thing was, if kids do stay at school, where would they all go if teachers are doing a half-day meeting?
We hadn't quite gotten to that yet.
I just think it's something to think about.
Right, no.
Good
I-
questions.
And it wasn't every single Wednesday either.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we were just, David was talking to us about, maybe Spice and PTC coming together to help pay for some of these things that we could offer the kids as enrichment programs.
I like
And, we had not ironed out all of the particulars, but it was up for discussion.
Sure.
And so we thought, well, half-day Wednesdays, we would have the kids here to do things with them instead of having the parents have to come later to pick them up. So it's really just in discussion.
Beginning stages.
The beginning stages, yes. Claudia is part of that also, as Mary. Mary's talking about doing math team and, we have other ideas like that.
So I guess what I'd like to propose then, because I don't think it's really gonna change all that much, is to say, keep the calendar the way it is and really hope that, the teachers get what they need out of it this year. But can we seriously talk about for the next school year? So not for 2023, but for 23-24, to really look at, can we get additional teacher workshop days? Can we pay for that and pay for the staff? So then maybe we don't need as many half days. Just something to really look into the after school programs, so then, because again, I'm trying to keep the kids in school as much as possible. And I just know from my own kids' sake is that the half days are not always beneficial to them. And so I just want them to have it so then whatever time they are in school is very beneficial. And if they need the full day for that to do it, then that's what they should do. But I understand the teachers need time to work on their curriculum as well. And they need to be here to work with the other teachers. So maybe that's my proposal to say, all right, approve it, but can we seriously talk about what to do for the following year to maybe cut back on half days?
Okay.
So.
I agree.
Maggie, I think that's a great idea. I think we should pull a small committee, parents, teachers, and school committee members, and address some of the issues you brought up, address issues that Randa and the staff shared, and build a calendar that doesn't create problems for parents, support students, and allow staff to be professionals.
Yep.
But
No,
I think
and
it's
I
a
would,
great idea.
yeah, and I would agree with that, because again, like you said, because Randa, I'm not, like you said, I'm not a teacher, and I don't know what your day involves. So I think it would be very beneficial for the teachers to get together with parents, so then the parents understand also where you guys are coming from. Because our main priority is that our kids are in school and that they're learning. And so I know from a parent's point of view, when we see more half days, we go, what? Why? And so, but at least if the teachers come forward and say, this is what we're working on, this is why we need it, hopefully they can work together and make a better plan for the next school year. So.
Any other discussion?
I think that's a really great suggestion. Yeah.
Okay, well, all in favor of the revised 2022-23 school calendar?
I'm like, I know I'm losing, so.
It's okay, I got you.
You did. You did.
Deal with small people.
Great. Okay, so now we need a motion to accept the collective bargaining agreement for July 1, 2022 to June 30, 2025 between the Sebago Education Association and the Educational Support Personnel and the School Committee of the Sebago School Department. Moved. I added in hand. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Can I also make a statement about it?
I was gonna say, any discussion?
Yeah. I just wanted to say that schools couldn't function without ed techs and secretarial support. So I think it's really important to say that and acknowledge the role that those people have in our school. Without them, I don't know how anything would happen. So yay.
I agree with you. Okay, so any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, and Randa, I'm supposed to ask you to come up and sign.
Thank you, Randa.
You're welcome, thank you.
All right, here, I guess I have to sign my name. Oh my God, I didn't even know today's date. Thank you.
24th, May.
Isn't that awful? May 24th, 2022. There we go. All right.
I brought my own pen. Not a pencil this time.
Ooh,
You know how we elementary
Nice,
people
nice
are.
learning curve, Randa.
I know. Elementary people, elementary people use pencils. Not these fancy.
Oh, okay. All right, and Kirsten, I've been asked to hand all of these to you to put away. The top one is the signed one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Now we're down to E. I need a motion to accept resignation of David Gallen, Superintendent of Schools, effective May 31st, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay, any discussion? This is just a technicality.
I promise I'm coming back.
You better. We're gonna do it.
We heard you.
Okay. All in favor? Okay. Okay, now we're at F, the appointment of Stephen Connolly as part-time interim superintendent from June 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2022. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Second?
Seconded.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yes.
And I just want to do a really brief introduction. Steve has been superintendent in SAP 55, I believe. He comes 60 through a interesting history of districts to get there. He tried to get out of education. It didn't really work for him. On July 1st, he'll start as the superintendent of SAP 75, which is the tops of Marksville area, Bodenham as well, and happens to keep a camper at the Sebago Family Campground. Steve Bailey from MSMA made the connection, and I'm so grateful that Steve's available. So Steve, if you want to take one brief moment to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Would you like us to finish voting? Or do you?
Yes, that would be good.
Okay, thanks.
Let's hire him before we go.
Well, you know. All right, so all in favor? There you go. All right, you're on.
Well, first of all, David, somehow I thought you'd be much bigger in person. David and I have run in parallel tracks in opposite directions in a lot of our work over the years. I think that you're going to be in great shape with somebody else who's going to be coming up on your docket. And please note that it says from June 1st to June 30th, because July 1st, they start as the Mount Ararat superintendent. So this is not a 31 day. Okay. So one thing I would like to say, though, is from listening to earlier conversations, there was a little discussion, momentary discussion about the social emotional program, second step. That is one of the highest rated programs in the United States for efficacy of emotional learning with students. And it's setting the table. It may not be listed in the learning results, like here's how many minutes you should be doing for science or some other topic. If you do not build relationships with students, you are not going to get to the next step, to that curriculum. You're not going to get to relevance, you're not going to get to rigor. So I'm a huge supporter of the second step of any social emotional, most social emotional learning programs. I think they're highly important. So, you know, build your foundation. David is too, I'm sure John is as well. We talked about a couple of programs that we've experienced in common. So whatever minutes you spend in the classroom on that particular subject pays dividends for the rest of the time those kids are in school. And the other piece about that is in 2020, let's see, what's the statistic? 50% of the mental illness diagnoses occurred before the age of 11. How many of the students, what percentage of the students you have here are 11 and younger? K to 5 school.
Yeah.
This is everybody, pretty much. So COVID has brought on a significant rise in depression in people, not just kids. So whatever you can do, whatever teachers continue to do and whatever can be done on behalf of the adults who work in the school as well, which you folks mentioned earlier today is too. Whatever you can do. I have simple goals. One, support people to close the school year and celebrate. Support the principal in closing the school year. What do you need? What do you need? I'm there ready to help. Another simple goal that I have is to help close out all of the fiscal accounting and whatever needs after her report by June 30th. And the last one that I have is leave that guy the heck alone for the month of June.
Right. Thank you.
Steve.
Okay, so now we're on G, nomination of David Gallen as Superintendent of Schools from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. I need a motion.
I'll move for that.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? See, you're coming back.
Can't get rid of us.
Thank you.
And all in favor?
Does that mean I've already been replaced?
It
was nice to meet you.
Did a great job. Okay, and now I need a motion for, okay. My agenda is missing. Is John St. Pierre, correct?
LaPierre.
LaPierre, okay, is it J, are you an H or just a Jon? John, La, L-A.
Capital P.
Capital P.
Just like the water within LA.
Ah, got it. Well, there we go. Okay, I need a motion for the nomination of John Perrier as principal. Anybody?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. I need a second.
Second it.
Okay, any discussion? Welcome. And all in favor? There we
I
go.
quickly just want to say, David, school committee, staff, thank you for your trust and confidence in this nomination. Community, I believe collaboration and communication. And so I look forward to talking to parents, talking to community members, talking to staff, and really excited for next year.
Thank you. Okay, and we tabling I for June. Are there any discussion items for tonight? I don't think so. Okay, and any items for future agendas?
You and I had spoken about the idea of possibly doing something like a barbecue or open house to introduce our principal and things like that.
Okay.
That we might talk about in June.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. So let me put
What did you say?
another committee.
I said that
Let's see.
we had
Open
talked
house
about
committee.
having something special for before the first day of school, for an open house to involve the parents and to meet the new principal, have like perhaps a barbecue or something of that nature, a meal. Something beyond just, not just an open house, but to include in the open house. And it's something that my daughter-in-law in Vermont has done, and she said it's fabulous. And it's a great way to bring people out, parents out, and the kids to connect with one another at the beginning of the year. So.
It's a good idea. Thank you. All right, so I've written that down on my ever-growing list of committees that we're going to be forming.
Right.
All right. So information items, future meetings, school budget meeting, May 31st at the Sebago Town Hall, which is the Potter Academy gym.
Please be there.
Please be there. Town meeting, it takes place at 6 o'clock. Our meeting takes place after. Then the budget validation referendum vote, along with all of your town offices and whatever the state's doing is on June 14th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it says at the town office. I'm not sure, it might be at the gym, we don't know. I bet it's at the gym.
Maybe not.
Maybe not?
I think
You think
we
it's
got
at the
that
town
from
office? Awesome, okay. And then in June, our school committee workshop, 6:30 p.m. And our next meeting, June 28th, sorry. And our next meeting is June 28th at 7 p.m. And I need a motion to go into executive session. Okay,
Seconded.
thank you. All in favor? All right.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Caroline.